ball. Take a seat.
Thanks.
You know, I have never seen one inmate just walk in here and be unanimously hated by the entire population. I ain't never seen it.
How'd I get so lucky?
Well, you could have robbed banks, you could have sold crack, you could have stole your grandmama's pension, and nobody would have cared. But shaving points off a football game, man, that's just un-American.
You play football?
Me? No. I suck so bad they used to pick me after the white kids. Used to be mad, too. It's like, I can't believe I picked a nigga that can't play. Caretaker.
Ball crew.
Whatever your pleasure, I could facilitate. You need weed, you need meth.
There's going to be those 4 to the right, then minus 2 to the
I know how
left.
you white boys always deal with that depression. I mean, me personally, I don't understand what you white boys are all depressed about. Hey, you're white. Smile.
Each of the 64 squares has a coin sitting on top of it. And taking a step back, this is going to be one of those classic prisoner puzzles where a strangely math-obsessed warden offers you and a fellow inmate a chance for freedom, but only if the two of you solve some elaborate scheme that they've laid out. In this case, what they've done is carefully turned over each of the coins to be heads or tails according to whatever pattern they want it to be, and then they show you a key. They put that key inside one of the chessboard squares. Each square is a secret compartment or something like that, so you know where the key is. And the goal is going to be to get prisoner number 2 to also know where the key is. But the only thing that the warden allows you to do before you leave the room is to turn over one and only one of these coins. At that point, you walk out, your fellow prisoner walks in, and with no information other than the set of heads and tails that they're looking at, which you've only barely tweaked, they're supposed to deduce where the key is hidden, potentially winning freedom for the both of you. As is typical with these puzzles, the two of you can strategize ahead of time if you want, but you won't know what the specific layout of heads and tails is. And moreover, the warden can listen in on your strategy and do their absolute best to thwart it with some adversarial arrangement of the coins and the key. So, I first heard about this puzzle over dinner conversation actually at a wedding, and
Across the country, violent crime is on the rise, and police chiefs believe one major policy change is at least partly behind the surge. From LA,
Zero bail poses challenges
to Chicago,
Keeping violent offenders in jail longer will reduce violent crime.
to upstate New York. How do you describe the state of where we are right now?
I think there certainly is fear.
The state of New York did away with cash bail for low-level offenders in 2019.
today we are going to
That
talk
means
about one
those
of my
charged with
absolute
some crimes
all-time
aren't
favorite
held
pieces
in
of
jail,
math.
but
It's
instead
incredibly
released until
fundamental
they stand
to
trial.
engineering,
I've seen
to
them
mathematics
myself
itself,
where
to quantum
certain
mechanics.
individuals,
But it's something
in
that has
my
a
opinion,
terrible,
should not be
terrible
released
name.
into our community.
We
They
call
make
them
our community
complex
less
numbers.
safe.
Other states
And
like
worse than that,
California,
the things that
Illinois,
bring about
Kentucky,
complex
and New
numbers
Mexico
we call
have made similar
imaginary
changes.
numbers.
And shortly
And
after
before we get
reform
into
was
any of
enacted
it,
in New
what I want to
Jersey
do
in
is start with kind of
2017,
a
June
poll,
Rogers lost
just
her
to poll the audience
26-year-old
on
son,
seeing
Christian.
what you guys
The
to
father
consider
of
to
two
be
was allegedly gunned down
real.
by a
What do you
convicted
consider to
felon
exist
who
when
was
it comes to
arrested
numbers?
days before on a
So
weapons
we've already
charge
been doing
and
a couple
released.
polls
You're
in the
angry over
warm-up
this bill
animations,
reform in New Jersey.
but as
Of course I
a
am.
serious poll of
You
sorts, one
can't-
that's actually
I'm
going to help
hurt,
me see where you're coming
angry,
from
all of that.
before we
I
begin the
lost
lesson
my
here.
child,
I just
and
want to
I
ask you
don't
a very simple
believe
question.
this would have
Okay?
happened had
So let's
it
go ahead
not
and pull it
been
up
for
here.
bail reform.
The
Hold
argument
on.
made for bail reform is that oftentimes low-level
And-
offenders can't afford
Well,
bond
for
and
whatever
can sit
reason,
in
it
jail
seems like
for
we're having
months,
trouble
like Lavette Mays.
pulling
She
this
never
one
had a
up.
criminal record until an altercation with her
Okay, there we go.
mother-in-law
Took a
landed her
little delay
behind
there.
bars.
My bond was
Among
set
the
at
values, 2,
$250,000.
square root of
That
2,
was
square root of negative 1,
$25,000 to walk,
and infinity.
and I couldn't afford
Which would you
to pay
personally
that.
consider
Mays sat in jail
to
for
really
14
exist,
months.
whatever really
she lost her
existing
business
means
and
to you?
says her life crumbled
So,
as a
in
result.
theory,
I
if you
had
guys go to
contracts. I
3b1b.co/live,
lost all those
you should
I
be able
even
to
lost,
answer this, and then the
where I was
statistics based on your
living. It
answers are going to
affected
start
my
populating the
family.
screen.
My
We won't know
kids
what
was
those
really
answers refer to.
impacted by
At the moment, all we know is that there's someone who has a
She
lead,
now
another
advocates
one
for
that's
bail
pretty close
reform.
behind it.
What do you say
And
to
as your
people who are
answers
against
come in,
bail
and as the
reform, who
servers
say
kind
that
of
it's
digest
increasing
them,
crime?
we'll start to
that
see some of
claim
the stats
really
here.
can't be
If
substantiated.
you go to that page,
Kellen
by the
Funk
way,
studies bail reform at Columbia
3b1b.co/live, which
University.
redirects
He
to
says there aren't enough studies
itempool.com,
yet to get a clear
what you're
answer,
going to find
but also that
is at the
crime
very
is
top,
rising everywhere,
you can ask a
including where there
question
has been
on Twitter,
no bail reform.
and all that's going
It
to
would be
do is
very
basically
strange
open
to
up a tweet that's
conclude
going to have the
that
hashtag in it,
modest
lockdown
reform
math.
efforts in
And that's the
one
way
or
that we're
two
going to be doing questions
jurisdictions,
to this instead of a
is
live
somehow
chat. Anytime you have a question
responsible
or a comment that you
for
want
a rise in crime.
to, insert
But
into
for
the
June
lesson and let that
Rogers,
be
who
part of
lost
the
her
discussion,
son,
it's
it's
going to be
hard to
pulled up
accept that
here.
bail reform didn't play
And
a
it looks like
role
we already
in
have
his
one.
death.
This is from Yash
No one
Dave,
is
who
taking
asked
responsibility
if you could
for
rename the
this. I have to
complex
go down
numbers
to the
and the so-called
graveyard to
imaginary
visit
numbers
which is
to something
terrible.
more intuitive
Megan
to a name that
Fitzgerald,
conveyed the fact that they have
NBC News.
numerous applications in the real world, what would you name them?
Thanks for watching
I
our
couldn't be
YouTube
happier that
channel.
you asked.
Follow today's top
So
stories
I have
and
one
breaking
friend who
news by
seems very passionate
downloading
about the fact that we should call them
NBC
sneaky
News app.
numbers. Personally, I'm very fond of trying to connote spinning and rotation. And this is one of the things we'll talk about in today's lesson, is the fact that what we call complex numbers, what we call imaginary numbers, some of the main uses that they have
Monster
come from
Ultra
very
is giving you the chance to
elegant
live the
descriptions
ultra life.
of how to
Enter
rotate
for a
stuff.
chance
And
to
I
win
hope
an
you'll kind of
exclusive
see what I
party
mean as we-
experience at
as we
Miami
proceed with that.
Artwood.
So on our poll, asking you guys which numbers you consider to really exist, which is of course a subjective question, there's no right or wrong answer here. I am genuinely curious, actually, how this breaks down, because it's not at all a strong consensus in one direction.
Experiment.
It seems like we've
It's
got
mentioned
three
in almost
top
every intro to
contenders,
psychology
and
textbook. They tend to
then
focus
three that are
on
falling
how
pretty
unethical it
evenly
was,
behind that.
and are less
So let's go ahead
critical
and take a look.
of its supposed
What do
conclusion.
you consider to really exist
August 14,
when it comes to numbers?
1971, Palo Alto,
Now,
California.
I
12
can
young
imagine
men
which
are
ones rank
rounded
at
up
the
from
top
their
two,
homes
but
by
I'm very
police,
curious about the fact
placed
that there's
under
three
arrest,
all
and brought
kind
to a
of
makeshift
coinciding
prison
with
in the
each other
basement
there.
of Stanford
And
University.
it looks like
It all begins
I'm
as a
getting a little bit of a delay before
psychology
the reveal, so there's kind of this
led by
nice
Stanford
dramatic pause.
psychology professor Dr.
I'll tell you,
Philip
for me
Zimbardo.
personally, I
20
feel like it's very
volunteers,
silly to
12
answer
guards,
anything that's
12
either,
prisoners
that's not all of
have
them or none
agreed
of
to
them.
spend the next 2
I
weeks
can maybe understand if someone wants to
life
correct
in
this, something different to do. But insofar as numbers exist at all, if you consider what a number is, the idea
then it would
I
smocks,
can't
stocking caps, shadows,
believe that
and
we're
fight
following
by the
up.
prisoner
We had Twitch it by live stream too, but I guess there's going to be a consolation between when it works and when it doesn't. But for me personally, basically, anytime you have a numerical construct that's helpful in the real
by their
world,
mirrored sunglasses.
I consider that real. I would say that if it's something that's actually useful in an application, then it is as real as words. You're never going to run into a word like happiness out there. But it has a kind of reality going on. And things like the square root of 2, which expanded terms of fraction, or things like the square root of -1, which don't show up among real numbers.
Are so bad
Even if
that
they
the
might
entire
have
operation is shut down.
this is such a shame. I'm genuinely curious to see what your answers are, but it's not showing up.
thinking about certain things.
I suppose maybe we'll have to move on to the right one. But
Zimbardo's fame
this
skyrockets,
will
and his
presumably
conclusions
begin
are
working
taught
by
to
the end, and we
students
can maybe pull things up
worldwide,
again.
used as a defense in criminal trials, and are even submitted to
go ahead.
Congress to explain the abuses inflicted on people.
What I'd like to do for you today, basically, is show you the sense in which imaginary numbers are used, the complex numbers
Caused
are
by
used,
the environment,
and from there maybe try to see them in a little more reality. I won't assume that you know what they are yet,
is
it's
that
meant
many
to be
people
a basic
are
find.
anonymous and have power
But
over
let's just
people
dive
as
right
others.
in.
They use
The end, by the way, the very end here, I want to talk about two different trigonometric models. And this is kind of the thing that we're going to build in, two identities in trigonometry. And I understand that maybe, these complicated identities in trigonometry is not going to be the best way to lure some people into understanding, complex numbers are really useful, they're really going to love them. But I do think it's interesting that we can have a fact that has nothing to do with complex numbers or the square root of -1. It's just trigonometry. It's everything we were talking about last time. And you can have facts that are pretty hard to remember. I remember when I was in school and we learned these addition formulas that if one another cosine of the sum of two different angles. It's this kind of long thing in terms of cosine and sine of the original two angles. There's this minus sign that would always trip people up. If you do the same cosine, it looks similar to the plus sign, and instead of having those curves, you have cosine. It's something that's very Aristotle if you're just trying to memorize it as it is. However, if you come at it with complex numbers, this is not only much less Aristotle, it has a very beautiful meaning, and it just falls right out. So even if you don't necessarily believe in the reality of the square root of -1, you at the very least have to admit that it's interesting that it can make other pieces of math useful, that other pieces of math a little bit more understandable. And trigonometry is just the tip of the iceberg. If you talk to anybody who's in mathematics, anybody who's going into serious math, they'll tell you that complex numbers are as real a part of their work and their life as you. But the starting point looks very strange. When you start introducing this, the very first thing you do is to say, assume that there's some number I, so that I squared is equal to -1. And I think to a lot of students, there's maybe one of two possible reactions you can have. One is, there isn't. Anytime I square a number, even if it's negative, if I say -5, for example, and I square it, well, a negative times a negative is a positive, so I get 25. Any number that